A sprawling, beautiful property with a lot of history. You don't really know much about the house itself, but as you begin to unpack and settle in, things start to go bump in the night. At first, you shrug it off. Maybe it's just the pipes or the wind. But then the strange occurrences become more frequent and more intense. In 1974, an American family known as the Smurls moved into what seemed like a normal home in a quiet neighborhood in Pennsylvania. The house was old but spacious, perfect for raising a family. And at first, nothing seemed unusual. Then came the first signs. Soft, unexplained noises. Footsteps in the hallways, knocks on the walls, whispers with no clear source. The father thought it was just the house settling. But as the months passed, the activity grew darker. Doors slammed shut on their own. Drawers opened and closed without anyone touching them. Electrical devices flickered. The television changed channels by itself. And then came the first sighting. One of the daughters screamed in the middle of the night. She said she saw a man standing at the end of her bed tall, pale with eyes black as coal, just staring. Before vanishing into thin air, the mother began to hear whispers at night, right beside her ear. Sometimes she felt hot breath on her neck, even though she was completely alone. The father himself suffered too. One night, he woke to a crushing weight on his chest. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Above him was a grotesque face, twisted and grinning with pure hatred. Before fading into the shadows, as the years passed, the haunting grew more violent. Furniture was thrown across rooms. A sickening stench filled the air. The sounds of screams echoed from the basement, and sometimes the cries of children could be heard. Even when the kids were asleep in their beds, neighbors also reported hearing strange noises. One afternoon, while the mother was cooking, she saw a massive black shadow glide across the kitchen and vanish into the wall. But the most terrifying manifestation was the creature. Half human, half beast. It appeared in flashes, its presence followed by a chilling, inhuman laughter that shook the family to their core. Desperate, the Smurls called in priests and exorcists. They prayed, they blessed the house, but every attempt only seemed to make the activity worse. The nightmares, the whispers, the violence, it continued for years. In the end, the family could no longer endure. They abandoned the house, leaving behind a curse that has never been explained. And to this day, the house still stands. Locals warn that if you walk too close at night, you may hear the whispers, the cries, and sometimes if you look up at the windows, you'll see a twisted face watching you from the darkness. Is there truth to this tale? Well, some believe there might be. Stories like this can be found all over the world, each one offering a glimpse into the darkest corners of our reality, where the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. These stories are not just chilling tales. They are reminders of the unseen forces that may be all around us. They challenge us to confront the unknown and question the boundaries of our understanding. But let's turn back the clock and explore this unsettling narrative in greater detail. The year is 1974. The location, a seemingly tranquil neighborhood in Pennsylvania. Imagine a typical suburban setting. Neat rows of houses, friendly neighbors, and a sense of community. But beneath this facade, something sinister is stirring. The story revolves around the Smurls, a family seeking a new beginning in this quiet neighborhood. Their new house, however, has a dark secret, a malevolent entity that has made this dwelling its home. As the family settles in, they begin to uncover the secrets of their new house. Strange noises, at first dismissed as mere quirks of an old house, soon escalate into terrifying manifestations. Doors slam shut, drawers move on their own, electrical appliances malfunction. These events, initially unsettling, quickly transform into a nightmare. Then come the sightings. The daughters, Perhaps the most innocent and sensitive to the supernatural witness a ghostly apparition. A tall, pale man with coal-black eyes stands at the foot of the bed. His presence is described as chilling, his eyes as windows to the darkest depths of hell. The mother begins to hear whispers in the dead of night, voices that seem to emanate from the very walls of the house. The father, too, is not spared. One night he wakes up to find a heavy weight on his chest. He struggles to breathe as a malevolent face hovers above him, contorted in a grotesque grin. This face, a symbol of pure evil, vanishes into the shadows as quickly as it appeared. Over the years, the haunting intensifies. Objects fly across the room. The air grows thick with a foul stench, and the basement becomes the source of horrifying screams. Even during the day, the house is not at peace. Shadows dance menacingly, and the feeling of being watched persists. In a desperate attempt to find answers, the family turns to the clergy. Priests and exorcists are called in. They conduct prayers and blessings, but instead of bringing peace, these rituals seem to enrage the entity, causing the hauntings to become even more violent. As the situation spirals out of control, the family is torn apart. The house has become a battleground between the living and the dead. The once happy family is now consumed by fear and despair. Unable to withstand the horrors any longer, they abandon their home. The story does not end here. The house remains, a silent testament to the terrifying events that unfolded within its walls. Locals tell tales of strange occurrences near the house. Some claim to hear the whispers or the cries of the tormented souls trapped inside. Others speak of seeing shadowy figures lurking at the windows, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. Now, let's shift our focus to the haunting details of this narrative. Why should you pay attention to this particular ghost story? What makes it stand out from countless others? Firstly, it's rooted in reality, or at least it's based on an actual haunting that supposedly took place in the 1970s in a small town in Pennsylvania. The story has all the makings of a classic haunted house tale. You've got the seemingly normal family, the move into a new house, the initial excitement, and then the gradual descent into terror. The story also includes common elements of ghost stories, such as apparitions, strange whispers, and moving objects. However, it's not just the familiar elements that make this story compelling. It's also the way it's told. The story is written in a style that draws you in and keeps you engaged. You feel the fear and uncertainty of the family as the haunting intensifies. The descriptions are vivid and the pacing is excellent. You can almost feel the cold breath on your neck or hear the whispers in your ear. Moreover, the story touches on themes that resonate with many people: the fear of the unknown, the boundaries between the living and the dead, and the struggle to maintain sanity in the face of the supernatural. It also explores the impact of such an experience on a family, the disintegration of their lives, and the trauma they endure. Furthermore, the story leaves you with more questions than answers. What exactly is haunting the family? Is it a single entity or multiple spirits? Why does it seem to target the family? And why does it respond violently to religious rituals? These questions keep you thinking long after you finish reading the story. Finally, the story has a haunting ending. The family flees their home, leaving behind all their belongings. The house remains, a constant reminder of the horrors that unfolded there. The final image of shadowy figures lurking at the windows is both eerie and unforgettable. If you've enjoyed this story, you might appreciate similar tales that delve into the realm of the paranormal. Stories of haunted houses, possessions, and unexplained phenomena have fascinated humans for centuries. They tap into our deepest fears and our insatiable curiosity about the afterlife. So if you're ready to venture further into the dark side of storytelling, I encourage you to explore more tales that push the boundaries of our understanding and challenge our perceptions of reality. Just remember, some doors are best left unopened and some secrets are better left buried. But if you're like me, you can't resist the allure of the unknown. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing the eerie side of life. Who knows what terrifying wonders await us in the shadows?